UK Foreign Office says the Kremlin is planning to install a pro-Russia leader in Ukraine. CNN. The UK Foreign Office said in a Saturday statement it has information that the Russian government is planning to install a pro-Russian leader in Kiev as it considers whether to invade and occupy the Ukraine. The former Ukrainian MP Prime Minister Yevhen Mulayev is being considered as the potential candidate, the British Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office said. Murayev told CNN Saturday there is nothing to comment on regarding the allegations, as he is a Ukrainian national and still facing Russian sanctions. The statement went on to name four other former Ukrainian officials, saying, "We have information that the Russian intelligence services maintain links with numerous former Ukrainian politicians, including Serhiy Arbuzov, first deputy prime minister of Ukraine from 2012 to 2014, and acting prime minister in 2014, Andrei Kuruyev, first deputy prime minister from 2010 to 2012, and chief of staff to former Ukrainian president Yanukovych, Vladimir Sivikovich, former deputy head of the Ukrainian National Security and Defense Council called RNBO, Mykola Azarov, Prime Minister of Ukraine from 2010 to 2014, he said. Some of these have contact with Russian intelligence officers currently involved in the planning for an attack on Ukraine. The British Foreign Office statement added, Russia has denied the allegations it planning to attack Ukraine. Only Sunday, Russia's foreign ministry called on the UK's foreign office to stop engaging in provocations, state news agency TASS reported. The misinformation spread by the British Foreign Office is another evidence that there are the NATO countries led by the Anglo-Saxons that are escalating tensions around Ukraine. We call on the British Foreign Office to stop provocative activities, stop spreading nonsense, and focus on studying the history of the Tatar Mongol York, a representative of the Russian Foreign Ministry told the TASS. CNN reached out to the UK Foreign Office on Saturday for further comment on its claims, as well as supporting evidence, but it said it would not comment any further. The information being released today shines a light on the extent of Russian activity designed to subvert Ukraine and is an insight into Kremlin thinking, UK Foreign Secretary Liz Truss said in a statement. Russia must de-escalate and its campaigns of aggression and disinformation and pursue a path of diplomacy, Truss said. As the UK and our partners have said repeatedly, any Russian military incursion into Ukraine would be a massive strategic mistake with severe cost. On Twitter, Truss said it will not tolerate Kremlin plot to install pro-Russian leadership in Ukraine. CNN also reached out to the U.S. State Department and the White House for comment. Source: U.S. has the same information as UK. In a statement Saturday, the White House said President Joe Biden met with his national security team to discuss continued Russian aggressive actions toward Ukraine. The president was briefed on the state of Russian military operations on Ukraine's borders and discussed both our ongoing effort to de-escalate the situation with diplomacy and our range of deterrence measures that are being coordinated closely with our allies and partners, including ongoing deliveries of security assistance to Ukraine, it added. President Biden again affirmed that should Russia further invade Ukraine, the United States will impose swift and severe consequences on Russia with our allies and partners, the White House said. A source briefed on the U.S. and British intelligence confirmed that the U.S. has similar evidence as the UK regarding Russia's plot to install a friendly government in Ukraine. Yes, we have seen the intelligence that Russia is looking at ways to minimize the long drawn out war. That includes the things like installing a friendly government that using its spy agencies to foment dissent, the source said. Another source briefed said the US has the same information. The NATO's origin explains. Russia has previously been accused of attempting to sow chaos in Ukraine through cyber attacks and purportedly plotting to take control of the government in Kiev. But the Kremlin has repeatedly denied it is planning to invade. CNN previously reported the U.S. accused Russia of recruiting current and former Ukrainian government officials to attempt to take control of Ukraine's government as it unveiled new sanctions on Thursday. The Treasury Department rolled out sanctions against the four current and former Ukrainian officials it said were involved in Kremlin-directed influence activities to destabilize the Ukraine. Those newly sanctioned individuals include Taras Romanovich Kozak, Volodymyr Mikolavovich Olinik, Vladimir Leonidovich Shivkovich, and Oleg Voloshin. Shivkovich was the only former Ukrainian politician named in both the US and UK announcement. The Treasury said the four individuals, two of whom are currently members of Ukraine's parliament, were acting under the direction of the Russian intelligence service sanctioned by the US and played various roles in Russia's global influence campaign to destabilize the sovereign countries in support of the Kremlin's political object. U.S. National Security Council spokesperson Emily Horne expressed solidarity with Ukraine as the UK Foreign Office said it had information the Russian government is planning to install a pro-Russian leader in Ukraine, calling the plot deeply concerning. This kind of plotting is deeply concerning, Horne said. The Ukrainian people have the sovereign right to determine their own future, and we stand with our democratically elected partners in Ukraine. Romania, Bulgaria slammed Russia's demands to move NATO troops. That comes as NATO members Romania and Bulgaria slammed Russia's demand to remove the alliance troops from both countries as unacceptable, with each arguing that the Kremlin has no right to interfere in the foreign policy decisions of other sovereign states. The comment from both countries came just hours after Russia's foreign ministry confirmed its demand for NATO to pull back troops from parts of Eastern Europe, including Bulgaria and Romania. The two countries were located to the Black Sea, which analysts believe Moscow sees as an important geostrategic buffer zone between ISAF and Europe. Romania's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said in a statement Saturday, such a demand is unacceptable and cannot be negotiated. Bulgaria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs argued Moscow to show respect to the foreign policy choice consciously made by Bulgaria. Bulgaria's ambassador to the United Kingdom, Marin Laikop, told the BBC the Kremlin's demand is an expression of contempt for the sovereign right of Bulgaria to choose the sources of guarantees for national security. Russian Foreign Ministry Sergei Lavrov listens during a meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken on January 21, 2022 in Geneva, Switzerland. Russia and NATO have been loggerheads since late last year, when the Kremlin deployed an estimated 100,000 troops to its border with Ukraine. Their military posturing has prompted fears that Russia is planning another incursion into Ukraine after invading and illegally annexing the Kremlin Peninsula in 2014. That same year, Moscow began supporting a pro-Russian separatist movement in eastern Ukraine that's left thousands dead. In its statement, Romania said, the NATO military presence in Eastern Europe is strictly defensive in reaction to the increasingly aggressive behavior of the Russian Federation, which started in 2014, when the Ukrainian territory Crimea was illegally occupied by Russia. This behavior continues to intensify in the present. Despite NATO's attempt to engage in constructive dialogue, the statement read, the United States and its NATO allies have repeatedly warned Russia any movement of its troops into Ukrainian territory would be met with what U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called a severe and united response. Russian President Vladimir Putin has argued in recent weeks that his country is an aggrieved party and is responding to NATO's cooperation with Ukraine and the allies' eastward expansion since the fall of the Soviet Union, which Russia views as an existential security threat. Diplomats from all sides have been attempting to negotiate a peaceful settlement, though one of Russia's core demands that the NATO withdraw foreign ministry forces and equipment from members of the alliance who joined after 1997 was quickly deemed a non-starter by Western diplomats. NATO allies are ready to engage in dialogue with Russia, but we are not compromised on core principles, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said earlier this month. We will not compromise on the sovereignty and territorial integrity of every nation in Europe, and we will not compromise on the right for all countries to choose their own path, including what kinds of security arrangement we want to be a part of, and we will not compromise on the rights for allies to protect and defend each other. weaponry sent to Ukraine. NATO members have in recent days deployed military equipment and personnel to Eastern Alliance members in response to Russia's troop buildup in Ukraine. The Dutch Defense Ministry said the Netherlands would deploy two F-35 jets along with support staff to Bulgaria in April or May, while Spanish Defense Ministry offers to send fighter jet and warship to the Black Sea. The alliance has also begun sending weaponry to Kiev to deter a potential Russian invasion and strengthen Ukraine's defensive capabilities. Light anti-tank weapons from the United Kingdom have already arrived in the country, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry said Tuesday, while the Czech Republic plans to donate 152 mm caliber artillery ammunition to Ukraine in the coming days. Czech Defense Ministry Jana Cherchova said Friday. Germany will supply a fully equipped field hospital to Ukraine, according to the German Defense Ministry. The country has traditionally avoided exporting arms to crisis areas since World War II, but German Foreign Ministry Annalena Baerbock said earlier this week that all measures will be on the table if there is a further Russian aggression against Ukraine. The U.S. Embassy in Kiev said Friday that the first shipment of American-directed material, 200,000 pounds of lethal aid, including ammunition for fighters on the front lines, has arrived in Ukraine. Though U.S. President Joe Biden ruled out sending American combat troops to Ukraine, Washington has approved the shipment of U.S. origin weapons to Kiev, including highly sought after American anti-aircraft systems from Latvia and Lithuania. Those armament would help Ukraine fend off Russian aircraft that some officials and experts believed would lead the way in the early stage of the Russian invasion. Estonia was given approval to transfer anti-tank Javelin guided missile systems, which the U.S. has provided Ukraine with in the past. CNN's Sharon Brathwaite, DJ Judd, Nick Robertson, Lauren Kent, Ivana Kutasova, Vasco Kotovio, Aliza Kasim Khalidi, and Daria Tarasova contributed to this report.